Julia, why did you transition from employee to entrepreneur?
Like many people during the pandemic, I was rethinking what I wanted the rest of my life to look like. I think many of us had big changes happen in our jobs during that time. And for me, it was going from being in the college classroom and teaching in the classroom to being fully online. And though I had already had online teaching experience, I hadn't had the experience of being a fully remote employee. And I gained a lot of my time back from not having to commute as well. And I already had an interest in minimalism and decluttering. And like so many people spending all this time in my home more than ever before, it gave me this idea to create a side hustle, which would be to organize people's houses. So that's really why I started this. I just started it as a hobby. I had no idea that it would become now my full-time job, but it has.
Yeah, and congratulations for that. You're
Thank
an
you.
inspiration to so many of us who are trying to figure out how to transition into business ownership and have more control of our time and our freedom and our creativity. So, yeah, great job at doing that. And it was an opportunity during the pandemic for people to revisit that and do that kind of thing. This is the Fearless Climbers Business Show, and I'm your business coach and host, Kathleen Reese Jubinville. Today, I'm talking with Dr. Julia Raz, the owner and professional organizer of Golden West Organizing. Julia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
And you as well. Julia and I have been working together for quite a while, so I'm really honored to have you be here today. And so, Julia, share with everybody, who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is very specific, and don't mind if my cat walks by. I can hear him right now, and he might, I can just see it. Maybe not, but anyway.
So cat owners are your ideal clients.
No, my ideal client is a woman in her 30s or 40s who is a very busy woman. She may be working in the home, outside of the home, a combination of both. And she also has enough disposable income to where she sees our service as a necessity in her life rather than a luxury. And sometimes when I tell people what my ideal client is, they're like, whoa, that's really specific. And I said, it's not too specific for me. This is exactly who I try to target whenever I'm talking with people on the phone. I always use the mom angle, as I'm a mom myself, and really try to speak to women that are in that exact demographic.
That's so smart, Julia. Specificity when you're talking about marketing is crucial to being able to reach the right people. And so when we're talking about these women that you help, what is the biggest problem that you help them solve?
So one of the hardest things for people, whether it's in home organizing or other things in life, is getting started, is getting the motivation to get started, where my clients feel so much stress and anxiety about the state of their homes to a degree where they don't feel like they can take that first step to get started. It's too much for them to even start. And so when I come in and my team comes in, we not only get it started, but we really get the ball rolling in their home for them in ways that they have never felt capable of doing. And for people who this comes easily to, they sometimes think about my service like, well, I could do that. It's easy for me. But the truth is, it isn't easy for everybody at all. And it's not only about them having a very busy life, but that they are too overwhelmed by the quantity of their possessions and they just cannot even start. And so it's debilitating for them. And it's causing quite a lot of unrest in how they feel in their home. They don't come back to a peaceful sanctuary. They come back and all they feel is stress and anxiety and this inability to do any action steps related to it. And so we come in and we help them not only take that first step, but take it to the next level.
And it becomes a necessity. You know, you mentioned about the stress and anxiety and how that makes them feel.
Right.
And so talk a little bit about more of those feelings and really why it becomes a necessity for them.
Yeah. So the words that I hear people use to describe how they feel when they first talk to me, they'll say that they're ashamed. Usually they're showing me a video of their home or a photo of their home. They're ashamed. They're embarrassed. They feel like they're not doing what they're quote unquote supposed to do as women in the home. They feel like other people in their home, they cannot get control of the situation and the others aren't supporting them and they don't even know how to talk to them about it. One example might be that their partner is constantly shopping on Amazon and they don't know how to have that conversation with them about, wow, we have all of these purchases. Oh, there's my cat in the background making his appearance. He never misses his moment of stardom when he gets Um, so it's really feelings of exacerbation and just anxiety, exhaustion, all of those really negative emotions, and then also a feeling of powerlessness, like I don't know what to do about it. Yeah.
I remember when I was a QuickBooks Pro advisor, my first company that I had for 12 years, that those same factors were present. The shame of like, I either my books, my accounting is a mess, or I should be that, whenever you start hearing should, then that's a shame type thing. I should know what I'm doing. I should be able to clean up this mess, might be what people are thinking. I'm hearing you say it's like that, those types of things. And so when you come in, what are some of the things that you say to them, or even in your introductory call, that helps them understand it's really not their fault? It's not fair that they've gotten in that circumstances of their life have created this dynamic for them, and it's not really fair. They shouldn't feel ashamed about it.
Right. Well, I always remind people that regardless of what I see, I'm not there to judge them at all. I'm only there to help them. And if they don't feel good, that's what I'm going to help them change. And that whatever they're feeling, they are allowed to feel. So if they do feel shame, even if they really should not, I want them to embrace those feelings, because that doesn't have to stay permanent. So one of the moments of hope that I always offer clients is giving them this scenario of like, imagine you're hosting a family gathering in your home, and you no longer have to shove things into that room. You actually feel proud having people into your home. Can you imagine what that feels like? And it always gets people like excited and happy to think about it. They're also skeptical, like, how am I going to get there? But that feeling of hope is one of the things I want to instill in them, regardless of what their starting point is. And also that I'm really just there to help them and not to judge them at all. I'm definitely not going to tell them that their home is a hot mess, that there's no chance we could ever change this. But I always tell them I can see what the after is going to become, because it's the truth. I see any space and the possibilities in it. And that bringing in a professional allows you to reimagine your space in ways that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. But I always think like giving them not only just hope in a kind of broad sense is good, but a very specific type of scenario that they could see themselves in. And that's why I give that example of like a family gathering or hosting friends, of like, imagine that kind of moment in your home and how different it can be and how we're going to help you get there.
I love that, Julia. That's a huge marketing tip as well, to paint the picture for someone that they can imagine the outcome of working with you. And yeah. I remember when we first started talking and you were describing how you work with your clients, and I was actually really surprised at how big of a part emotional support is in the work that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me, I did want to read how it makes them feel. So just with perfect timing of me knowing I was talking with you today, my team has worked with a client in the last week, and we're going to work with her again this week. And following our sessions with her last week, she sent me a lot of really great feedback about my team. And I wanted to read a portion of it to you because a lot of our clients describe it as nothing short of life-changing. It's that big of a deal in their lives. So let me just read to you what she said. It's pretty short. All right. She says, what an incredibly amazing and joyful crew you have. I think she meant incredible there. I just adore all of them. They are just so focused, and they are constantly communicating with each other to make sure everyone is in the know of what goes where and the best placement for each item. Your crew fantastically has OCD when it comes to organizing. I absolutely positively love it. I am basking in the complete order of my things. I am truly convinced that I could not have chosen a better company. There's just no way. You have a stellar crew, and I could not be more ecstatic. Thank you, Julia. Thank you. And this is with me not being there at all. I was so proud of my team. So that's just one example of the feedback we get. Now, not everything is as TV dramatic, using the words life-changing, but we do hear that phrase quite a lot, where people say like, wow, you have changed my entire life because you all came into my home.
That's fabulous. And I know that your vision and your standards are very high for how you go in and what you expect the team to do and how it looks for your clients. Like, I know how important that is to you, and these testimonials reflect that. And yeah. I just want to encourage people too to check out your Instagram, because you put in a lot of before and afters, and it's fabulous.
It's something I really like as a business owner, is doing my social media. I find a lot of gratification out of doing it myself, at least for now. I think it's quite a lot of fun. And yeah, this is a very visual industry that
Yes.
I'm in, and showing those before and after photos are one way that we can really, demonstrate our success with our clients.
And Instagram is such a visual medium, so it's a perfect place for you to be. And it's a form of testimonial that you're showing your results, but also that you just literally read a testimonial, which is powerful marketing. So tell us just a little bit in more detail, if you would, about how you actually help people solve their problems. We talk about the emotional stuff, but when you're actually in there, how is it that you're helping them get organized, and also kind of maybe it mixed in that, what qualifies you to do this? Like, how did you even get to this point where you see it and you know what to do?
Yeah, so those are two questions. I'll start with the what qualifies me portion, and then I'll get to what that looks like in people's homes, because
Perfect.
we do two different main types of services, and I want to describe both of those. So
Perfect.
personally, my interest in this field started in about 2019. I was not the kind of person who was naturally organized or minimalist. In fact, I was the kind of person who had a very sentimental attachment to many things, going back to my childhood, and I had a hard time letting go. And so in that way, I'm different from some organizers that say, I was like this as a child, everything had a place. No, for me, my room was a complete disaster growing up. And it was only through the loss of a relative and 20 years of holding on to her possessions and me finally coming to a point where I could make decisions on it that led me to want to go down this path. And I thought, wow, if this was really hard for me, I know this is hard for other people, maybe I can help others do this. My background for the last 12 years, I've been a communication professor. So I have a doctorate in communication. And I always like to tell people who are thinking about going into whatever business it is that regardless of what your background is, you bring some unique skill to that industry that nobody else does. And so that's one of the things that I say about myself, is that my background is a communication educator, teaching public speaking, interpersonal communication, media related communication courses to thousands of students over the years. Really, really helps me, because I have met so many people from different walks of life already, and really had to be in challenging interpersonal situations with them for years. And at the core of what I think is a good professional organizer, and probably arguably any good business owner, are interpersonal skills. Yes. And that's something that I personally excel at, and it's something I instill in my team. And so although I may not have had many years of professional organizing experience, I have so many years of knowing how to talk to people and how to be empathetic with people. And that's the kind of skill that my team is most trained on. Plus, I do have an eye for design, and I do have this ability to see the potential in any space. In addition to that, I'm a member of NAPO, which is the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. And I do recommend people who are interested in organizing to at least check that out, because it helps provide a framework of a code of ethics and generally how to run your business. And so as a member of this organization, there are certain principles that we uphold in my business as well.
And so what is it that you specifically do for people when you
people's houses? Yes. The second question, I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. So
that's what I'm here for.
The two services that we offer are organizing and unpacking, and they're related to each other, but not the same thing. So I'll start with unpacking. Unpacking is the unpacking side of moving. This is when all of the boxes have arrived at your new home. So movers have already moved it there, and we put away everything for you, so you don't have to. So is this a necessity? Many people would argue no. This is a luxury service, but for many people with all of the other things in their life, it's just taking one extra thing off of their plate. And moves are so stressful for people. It's when, your emotions are really peaked. And so for us coming in there and putting everything away for you, with or without you there, it makes a big difference for someone. And then they can just go into a move-in ready house entirely. So sometimes we do unpacks where our clients are not on the premises at all, and we'll make a video of everything we've done, or even we'll do a walkthrough of their house once it's ready, and then they just move in and they feel this sense of relief. Other people want a bit more say because it's their possessions and it's their house, and so they may be there to guide us on where things go, but essentially we do all of that for you, and that's very different from a mover unpacking you. When a mover unpacks you, they just want to get things out of the boxes and put into places as quickly as possible. So when we unpack, it's a much slower process. It might take 6 hours in one room to unpack it, but we're going to do this in a way that is very functional for your family. and in a way that's beautiful too. It's going to be both of those things. The organizing side of our business, it has several components. One of them is decluttering. That's probably the most important part of what we do, where we help people make decisions on what stays and goes in their home. That's usually why they reached out to me. They're reaching out because they have too much stuff and they say they don't have enough space and they can't manage their home. And so we will empty an entire room for them, like a kitchen, sort it by type for them, and then go through those objects with them to help them make good choices, not only in the moment, but about for the rest of their lives. So it's not supposed to just be a one-time service, but truly a way for us to teach people how to have a different relationship with their possessions. And then we put it away in a way that's going to make sense for them, which may or may not look like what you see on Instagram or Pinterest, because it has to be something that they can maintain. And so if you're not the kind of person who's going to decant, meaning pour all of your cereal into a container and label it with the expiration date and then hand wash that container, we're not going to do that. We're not going to force that on you. So we really learn about our clients and what their life is like, and what their goals are for whatever space that is, and help them realize that. And usually they're just blown away, every time, like, whoa, I had no idea my house could look like this. And usually, why does it look like that? It's because they decluttered. The more that people make really intentional choices with their possessions, space always opens up.
Yeah, wherever I've lived, I'm amazed at how I end up filling every nook and cranny. It doesn't matter if I've gone to the next bigger house, it just keeps filling up. And it definitely does take intention to think through about that. And it is hard. And like you said, there's sentimental value. And so having someone by your side, like yourself, and your team, I could definitely see help with that process of decision and speed it along too. So you're not sitting there for 6 hours over one item, which could happen.
I mean, one of the important things I like to remind people when they reach out to me is how this type of service is unique from other in-home based services, where if you hire a painter to paint a room in your house, they're going to quote you one flat price. They're going to do all the painting and then they're going to leave. Yeah. But I like reminding people, when you hire a professional organizer to come in your home, because you are a part of the equation, because you have to make the decisions, the speed at which we work is largely determined by your own availability and decision making. So what that means is that we can have every intention to complete a room in a certain amount of time, but if you need that additional time to talk through it, that means it's going to take us longer. And we're not going to rush someone to make decisions that they're ultimately going to regret. We want it to be at your pace, but also we're very mindful of people's time and budget. So that means that if after 2 hours we've talked about 3 items in total, I would have to remind you, like, hey, Kathleen, it's okay if we do this, but just know we're going to be here a week instead of today. Yeah. Right. And we'll do whatever it is that the client wants in that moment. But usually that kind of reminder helps to push things along a bit.
Fabulous service that you offer, but also fabulous customer service that you provide, Julia. I hear it every time I talk to you, how much you care and how much you give to people. The fact that you've grown your business so quickly, what would you say, what would be your biggest piece of advice for a new business owner?
Yeah, I feel like I have so much to say. And I'm someone who doesn't have a business background. So I think my main piece of advice would be that regardless of what you believe your qualifications are leading up to this point, that should not be a deterrent from starting on something that you truly believe in. And you really have to be your number one advocate at all points, so that when you have those highs, when you have those lows, especially, that you still believe in what you're doing. And I also think that to use the competition as a motivational tool, but not a deterrent. That if you go online and you see there's all these other people doing what I do, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers and professional photos and a professional website, how am I ever going to do that? Don't let that bring you down or deter you. Sometimes I tell people I may not have the largest social media following, which is the truth, but I have the right social media following, right? The people who follow me are my clients. Yes. And I care much more about that than about having certain numbers. So rather than aiming for perfection, just use the competition to learn about what others are doing, but not as a barometer for your own success. You can still do it, even if other people are doing it.
Absolutely. That's fabulous advice, Julia. And the thing is those people have maybe done that for a long time. It takes a long time to build up to that. Or if they didn't take a long time, they may not have all the right followers that really are interested in working with them. But the main thing when I'm working with clients is to just calculate, how many clients do you really need? And it's a lot fewer than you think. Let's say you need 10 or 20 clients or even 2 clients a month, whatever that number is. You don't need 1 million followers to get 2 or 10 clients a month. You just need, just to think about the number of people you need to talk to, and that will build your business for you. So, and also if there's competition, that means that there's people who need your services. So that's a good thing.
Exactly. So I think that could stop some people. And there are there are new pro organizers who sometimes reach out to me and they want to know, how did you get started? Just because I've had the growth that I have. And I guess the commonality I've heard so far from people who reached out to me is that they feel like they don't have the background in it. Well, I didn't either, and I didn't. So I don't think that should stop one. My final piece of advice, and this is just a personal belief that I have, is to not take on debt to start a business. But that's just, fits into my larger life philosophy regarding money, is that everything I've done, I've bootstrapped, everything has been on my own. And so if that means starting off small, like what I did, where I started offering my services for free, and I'm lucky I'm in an industry where you didn't have a lot of stuff that I needed to buy in the beginning, but I believe in slow growth. If fast growth happens, it's great. But if it doesn't, it's okay, because then you're not having that extra stress of debt also. And so I rest easy at night knowing, oh, okay, like I can pay for all of these things.
You mentioned about people not having the confidence in some ways to be able to get started, and you're not going to get it until you take action. That is the way you build the confidence, is just to go for it. And as you're doing it, you learn from it. And as a business owner, you're constantly learning about it. And there's people like me, coaches, that are out there giving information for free and also supporting people.
I was going to get to you too. So if this whole talk was only about what advice, I feel like I have so many more pieces of advice I would give, like getting the right people on your team,
yes,
the right supporters, outsourcing when it makes sense. I could go on and on.
There.
Truly, one of those is working with you. Yeah. So helpful.
Thank you so much. So I am excited to ask you what our audience can do to connect with you if they'd like to hear more about your services.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a few links that are going to be shared so that people can check out what we do. One of the links is to our free consultation. So you can look at my calendar, find a time that works for you, and just schedule a free call with me to learn about our services and how we can help you in your home, whether that's with unpacking or organizing. So there will be a Calendly link that you can click on, as well as a link to our Instagram account, which is at Golden West Organizing, where you can see all of our latest work. And then if you want to see our website at large, www.goldenwestorganizing.com, which has links to all of the above.
Julia, thanks again for being here today.
Of course. Thank you.
Be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss any of our small business success strategies, and click on the links below for more helpful free resources.